Welcome back, everyone. Bart Mills is with us today. He is our guest movie reviewer. He went out and saw The Eternals. Bart, here's the one thing I saw, and some of the reviews I read about it. There's 10, I think there's 10 Eternals that are in this group, and there's a lot they're trying to squeeze into one movie. Is it too much? Is it too many characters? Too much going on?
My first instinct when we left the movie was to say that that was a really good 90-minute movie. The problem is it went over 2 hours. And so, you know, and again, I sort of feel that way about action movies in general. There are certainly rare exceptions, but this was not one of them. I think it was just, yeah, there's so much stuff going on. And we need to sort of remember that with Marvel, back in the day when they first started off with Iron Man and Thor and everybody else, we got one movie per character. And we sort of got to hang with them for a while. Not all those movies were great. I mean, I think in retrospect, a lot of us think they were really better than they really were at the time. But, you know, we got to spend some time with them. We got to care about them a little bit. Now, all of a sudden, we've got an entire just dump of 10 superheroes and a bunch of ancillary characters and a whole new universe all just thrown at us in 2 hours. And so it's pretty heavy.
Yeah, and they've been, the idea is that they've been around a long time. I've heard a lot of my fellow nerds say, well, why didn't they help out when Thanos was, you know, cutting the entire population in half? Do they explain all that, why they weren't around doing much?
They make a passing effort to explain it. The gist of it is, and it's not a big spoiler, but the gist of it is that they're not supposed to interfere with humans. Although they pretty much spend the entire movie interfering with humans. So it's kind of a catch-all, but I think that, you know, they try to explain it. I think Marvel's got themselves in a bit of a corner right now, and eventually they're going to have to walk away from every movie they make explaining why whatever superhero came up later didn't get engaged with Thanos. I mean, we had the same thing with Captain Marvel, and I think it's going to move on forward. So, you know, the biggest issue with this movie is the fact, I mean, first off, I guess I ought to be clear. I had a good time. And really, if you're going to spend the money on a movie, you might as well have a good time. And it's a lot of fun. It's a good movie. It's a beautifully shot movie. Chloe Zhao is the director. She did Nomadland. She's got a really unique aesthetic view. It's absolutely gorgeous. It's a $200 million movie, and you see that. Not just with the ancillary, you know, with the cast of people that we may or may not need to have in those positions, but you know, for instance, we were joking. There's a part that Bill Skarsgård shows up in, and is sort of toward the end of the movie. You have no idea it's Bill Skarsgård until the credits roll, and you think, why in the world are they spending money on a Skarsgård when they could have used, you know, the third lead of 2.5 Men, and nobody would have known any better. So, but it's a fun movie. It's actually a pretty entertaining movie. It's just there's a lot going on, and there's more to do in that than we expect from Marvel.
Plot-wise, are there any key elements we need to know? Typically, it's saving the universe from some horrible foe, but is there anything we need to know there?
Yeah, I mean, a quick rundown is that you have these 10 Eternals. They've been with us since the dawn of time. They were sent here by these sort of overlords to sort of help fight off these other bad guys that are called deviants, and they're just monsters basically, and they fight these monsters, and when they get all the monsters allegedly slaughtered from the earth, they're free to just kind of roam around and intermingle with us, which is great. For a few thousand years they get to just hang out, and then all of a sudden something happens, deviants appear, and they've got to get into action. They've got to decide whether to save humanity or not. And so I think there's a lot, like I said, there's a lot of backstory given to us. There's an awful lot of flashbacks into showing us what they used to do, how they used to dress, who they used to hang out with. You know, they spent some time in an all-white Mesopotamia, which is always entertaining. You know, it's just, again, fun movie, but there's it is for the nerds. It's going to drive them nuts, because I'm sure if you know about the Eternals, and I've never heard of the Eternals, so it didn't matter to me, but I'm sure if you know about the Eternals, elements of this are going to drive you crazy. For a regular moviegoer who just is like me, sort of an ancillary fan of the Marvel movies, I've seen I suspect all the 20 of them that have been so far, or whatever it was. But it's a good time, and because it's the first of the series, we assume there's going to be more. They give you everything you need to know right in this movie, so you don't need to go in with a bunch of knowledge, which is kind of nice. It's a bit of a standalone.
As you said, it seems very aesthetically pleasing, so we'll have to check that out. Bart, hey, thanks so much. We appreciate you talking about it today.
Anytime. Thanks for the time.
You bet. Good seeing you. We'll be back after this.